Welcome to Chapter 1, The Nature of Art and Creativity. My name is Professor Klotz, and we are going to begin this lecture with the learning objectives. Be sure to take notes along the way. So first, we will describe art as a means of visual expression that uses various media and forms. We will explain what is meant by creativity. We will discuss the role creativity plays in the work of trained and untrained artists. We will assess the ways in which representational, abstract, and non-representational art relate to reality. We will contrast the terms looking and seeing, and finally differentiate between form and content and show how artists may use iconography to communicate the latter. So the ability to create is a special characteristic of humans. Art is a common experience. If we open up our textbook, we will see the first image in chapter 1 is a work of art titled Her Secret is Patience by Janet Eckelman. It is a large, distinctive public artwork in Phoenix, Arizona, and it is inspired by the saguaro cactus. We actually read from our textbook that the artist chose the cactus flower shape to symbolize the desert city of Phoenix. She was inspired by the patience of the saguaro cactus. The work also refers to the character of nature itself. Eckelman took her title from the words of American poet and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote, "Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience." So this work refers to the city of Phoenix and also to nature and to poetry. It is also comprised of fiber, steel, and lighting, and that is actually the media. So those are the materials that are used. We will define that term later as well. So what is art? Art generally refers to music, theater, literature, visual arts, which could include drawing, painting, sculpture, film, architecture, and design. A work of art is the visual expression of an idea or experience formed with skill through the use of a medium. A medium is a particular material along with its accompanying technique, and the plural form is media. So creativity is the ability to bring forth something new that has value. It could also have the potential to influence future thought or action. There are 5 traits that define creativity, which are associating, questioning, observing, networking, experimenting. And visual creativity is the use of imagery to communicate beyond words. There's a segment in the textbook titled Outsider Art, which simply means that these refer to works of art that were made by untrained artists. So anyone can create art. You don't have to be a trained artist to create something. And this particular work is titled Our Town. It is one of the best known and largest pieces of outsider art in the United States. It's made out of cast-off materials, and the towers were built without power tools, rivets, welds, or bolts. And it actually sort of resembles a Gothic cathedral in a way if you look at the tower as well. And let's look at a detail picture of the tower, and you can see that the artist has used broken pieces of tile and glass, and it's very colorful that the way they organized all of those pieces together. And it also stands at 100 feet tall. So let's define a few more terms. Representational art depicts the appearance of things. Figurative art is when human form is the primary subject. So again, representational art represents something that we see from the everyday world, like maybe a landscape or a portrait. And a portrait would be an example of when the human form is the primary subject, so you could say that it's figurative. Objects, so subjects refer to objects depicted in representational art. And any real-looking paintings that look very realistic are painted in the trompe-l'oeil style, which is French for fool the eye. And we see that within this next representational painting that is also depicted in our textbook. And so we can recognize this and we understand that that is definitely representational art. So abstract art refers to works that have no reference at all to natural objects, or works that depict natural objects in simplified, distorted, or exaggerated ways. So we're going to look at a series called The Abstraction of a Cow, painted by Van Doesburg, and it's an exploration of how far he could simplify a cow while still capturing its essence. If you were to only view the final painting, it would likely be seen as non-representational. And so we would first begin with this image here of the cow. And so this is the first image, it's a drawing. Now, looking at this artwork, we would say this is the most representational image that the artist created, because we can look at it and determine that that is a cow. So it looks like what it's trying to represent. So I would say this is the most representational artwork. Now we're seeing the cow being abstracted. So he's abstracted the image of the cow, he's distorting it, simplifying it, and we see geometric forms, lots of triangles and squares. This is also an abstract image of the cow. However, the artist has just simply added color, but the color is very abstract. And then it has some colors that have been exaggerated, like blue, which you might not expect to see painted. And then the green is just kind of all very, again, abstractly painted as well. And then here we have a very colorful image of the cow. However, it is very difficult to determine unless we knew that this was a cow. It's hard to determine what the subject is, right? So this would be a great example of a non-representational image where you're just looking at the form and shape and color. So let's move on, and we're going to see another abstract painting. This one is painted by Alma Thomas. She was inspired by movement of leaves and flowers under different light. And she painted white roses sing and sing. And so she has abstracted the roses. And so this is an abstract painting. And then non-representational art, this is our last term in, and again, representational, abstract, and non-representational art. Those are the three categories that all art falls into. So this would be the last one in that category. So non-representational art, it's also known as non-objective or non-figurative. It presents visual forms with no specific references to anything outside themselves. And so we can appreciate just the shape and the color as in pure sound forms of music. And so here would be an example of non-representational art. And this is titled Yellow and Black, and it's acrylic on canvas. And so again, it's just simply the shape and the color that we are appreciating as a non-representational artwork. So let's contrast the terms looking and seeing. Looking implies taking in what is before us in a mechanical or goal-oriented way. However, seeing is looking with memories, imaginations, and feelings attached. It's an appreciation of form beyond function. What is form? Form is the total effect of the combined visual qualities within a work, including materials, color, shape, line, design. Content, this is an important definition. So content is the message or meaning of the work of art. It's what the artist expresses or communicates to the viewer. Form and content are inseparable. Content determines form, and form expresses content. So seeing and responding to form, within the artwork here, this is actually painted by Georgia O'Keeffe. It's titled Jack in the Pulpit, which is actually a name of a flower. So she's painting a flower, and however, she enlarged it to be over 4 feet in height. And she's only focusing on the flower itself. She's painted the flower so large that it almost looks abstract. And she did this because she said, so that the viewer would take time to observe an object that would normally be too small to be passed over. And there's actually a quote there's a quote in our textbook from her. She says, everyone has many associations with the flower, the idea of flowers. Still, in a way, nobody sees a flower. Really, it is so small, we haven't the time. And to see takes time. Like She said, if I could paint the flower exactly as I see it, no one would see what I see because I would paint it small like the flower is small. So I said to myself, I'll paint what I see, what the flower is to me, but I'll paint it big, and they will be surprised into taking time to look at it. And so one of our last terms is going to be iconography, which refers to subjects, symbols, and motifs used in an image to convey its meaning. And so, for instance, you see this in a lot of paintings where religious that have religious subjects. And so, for instance, a mother and child in a painting may actually be Mary and baby Jesus. Not all works contain iconography. However, we're going to see iconography in the painting The Virgin of Carmel Saving Souls in Purgatory. So, a few examples of Christian iconography in the painting include the winged figures as angels, God holding the orb of the world, the Holy Spirit as a dove, Mary wearing a crown, a cross signifying Christ, and a scapular garment. And so this concludes the lecture on Chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you.